This 35% is no longer on cost. It's on selling price. It's on selling price. Every one of these percentages is based on the selling price. Now, why would somebody do it this way? A retailer would do it this way because a retailer bases their inventory on the selling price. They base their commissions on the selling price. So it makes sense to base their margin on the selling price. If I'm a retailer and I have 4 identical items on the shelf, am I going to sell those for different prices? No, they're all going to have the same price tag on them. But what if I bought this one a year ago, this one 6 months ago, this one 2 months ago, and this one yesterday? I might have paid 4 different prices for those items, but I'm going to sell them for the same thing. So it makes a lot more sense for me to base my margins on the selling price, because that's much more of a constant for me. Now let's see how the numbers work. Does this 300, is that the cost, the margin, or the selling price? If that's what I, the retailer, paid for that widget.
It's the cost. Don't sell it for more than you paid, right?
If Joe's Hardware pays $300 for this widget, that's going to be Joe's cost on it. Okay, so the 300 goes here, and now we're trying to find how much his margin is and what he's going to sell it for. They're always going to give us 2 of these numbers, but they really give us a third number, because whatever words they put after the word on, that tells us where the 100 goes, where the 100% goes. So 100% in this case goes under the selling price. That's the key to all these problems, is making sure you get the 100%. It's either going to go under the selling price if it says selling price, or it's going to go under the cost if it says percent on cost. Okay? So if you don't get the 100% in the right place, you can't get the right answer. So I can take 35% times that 300, right? Well, no, because this says 35% times the selling price. I can take 35% times the selling price to get the margin. But I don't know the selling price. Does this look familiar? What if I knew this percent? Then I could take the top number and divide it by the bottom percent, and it would give me the base, the 100%. So if first thing plus second thing has to be third thing, what number goes here? What percent? 100 minus 35. That's exactly right. 65%. So $300 equals 65% of the selling price. So to find the selling price, I take this top number and divide it by this bottom percent. So take 300 divided by 65%. Now that should give us a bigger number than 300, right? We got to sell it for more than what we paid, or we're going to go out of business really quickly. What do we get? 461? 54? All right, thank you. Does that look good to everybody? 46154 to the nearest penny. Now, if they asked us what's the dollar markup, we could just subtract, couldn't we? And that's what we should do. Once we find this, we should subtract so that everything is exact to the penny. So let's subtract, and we get 161.54. Now, just out of curiosity, let's see how close it checks. 35% times that selling price should be this. It might be off by a penny because we might have rounded this. So let's try 461.54 times 35%. Is it this number to the nearest penny, or is it a penny off? It's a penny off. Okay, that's okay. It could be a penny off. But notice, once we find this number, because we rounded it, we don't want to multiply it times this, because this plus that has to be that number to the penny. All right? But if it's only a penny off when we check it, then we're pretty sure that's due to the rounding error, not to any mistake we made. Now, The reason I don't like using the word markup when it's based on selling price is we didn't mark anything up 35%. We took the selling price and marked it down 30% to get our cost. That's what's really going on mathematically. Margin based on selling price is exactly like percent decrease. The selling price is the biggest thing, that's the 100%. The margin is smaller than that, it's the 35%. And the cost is smaller than the selling price, it's the 65%. When 461.54 goes down to 300, that's a 35% decrease. Take this number and knock 35% off it and you get that number. So it's really like a mark down. It's like saying, here was the list price, we had a 35% off sale, you get it for 300. So that's why a mathematician doesn't like the word markup when you're really talking about a mark down. So margin is kind of neutral, that goes either way. Any question on that? The key to this whole chapter is getting that 100% in the right place. So just remember, whatever comes after the word on, if it's on cost, you can think of that as based on cost, which means cost is the base, and the base is 100%. Okay, so you put the 100% either under the cost or under the selling price, depending on whatever the problem says. They'll tell you. All right, so that's markup based on cost, markup based on selling price.